So you sit around and you study a fucking tape, you prepare for one thing, and then fight night, the guy don't do it, then what do then? You stuck with your thumb up your ass. But if you prepare for anything and everything, so you're able to have your fighter make those adjustments as the fight goes on.
Can't really take him seriously because he doesn't study his fighters' opponents.
I've had over 12 world champions. I've won 2 world championships myself. So hey, I've been pretty successful, thank God.
I'm going to stay off camera, buddy.
Huh?
I'm staying off camera today. This is all about you.
And would I be sure?
Look at you, sat there with your towel over your shoulder, this old school cap slightly tilted to the side. This is a New York style conversation, but we're in Liverpool, Birmingham. Ladies and gentlemen, Buddy McGirt. Welcome back, Buddy.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for inviting me to Liverpool. It wouldn't have happened if you weren't here.
Anytime.
Buddy, one of the things that I want to clear up, because every time I put up a conversation that we have, I get somebody in the comments that says, oh, I can't really take him seriously because he doesn't study his fighters' opponents. Can we put that to bed, please? Can we put that to bed?
Well, you know, it's like this. If you know what the hell you're looking at, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say this. This time I'm going to put it to bed. Damn, I'm going to try to say this without being sarcastic.
Do it. Be
You know what I mean?
sarcastic.
I don't study fighters because there's no need to fucking study fighters. If you just want me to be point blank, everybody does the same shit. Nobody does anything different. You know what I mean? What most guys do the first couple rounds, they're gonna do the rest of the night. So you sit around and you study a fucking tape, right? And you prepare for one thing, and then fight night, the guy don't do it, then what do then? You stuck with your thumb up your ass. But if you prepare for anything and everything, then whatever the guy does, if you, as a trainer, you know what the fuck you're doing, excuse my language, but people like to fucking be sarcastic all the time. If you know what you're doing, you've prepared your fighter for any and everything. So you're able to have your fighter make those adjustments as the fight goes on. And that comes from being from the old school. I mean, the old school trainers, that's how they did it. So, you know, a lot of these guys, oh, you don't do this, or you don't do that. Hey, listen, I've been successful, thank God. You know what I mean? I thank God every day I've been successful without studying. So you can have your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? But I have my way of doing things. Every general has a way they attack their opposition. I'm different. Now I'm not going to change. That's who I am, and that's how I'm going to stay.
I think that's what we needed to hear, because it was like, because I like to reply to the comments, and I like to engage a lot with the public because they're watching the videos. So I think it's something that I'm happy because you didn't have to answer it, but it's something that you have put to bed. That's the way you do it. And I understand about adaptability. You have to be able to...
As a trainer, you got to be able to adapt. So when you're training for a fight, you train your fighter to adapt. So if the guy's not doing one thing, then okay, boom. Let's do something. Let's work. Let's do it this way now. But if you go in there with just one game plan, then you as a trainer, you're the fucking idiot. You know what I mean? You're the idiot, not me. You're the idiot if you go in there with one game plan. But if you have more than one game plan, then you're ahead of the game. And you and your fighter. But sometimes, here's the good part though. Sometimes the fighter has to make the adjustments on his own in the fight. So say in rounds 4 or 5, the opponent changes. Fighter can't call timeout and say, what do we do now? The fighter has to make the adjustment. But you know what that comes from? That comes from in the gym, you're working on everything, anything and everything. This way the fighter knows what to do midstream. Most guys can't do that. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you know, everyone always has something to say, but realistically, when you think about it, you know what I mean? Sometimes the fighter has to say, oh, wait, this shit ain't working. I gotta make an adjustment. Oh, we worked on this, and boom. You don't have time to, you know, to sit there and have that conversation to yourself. It just has to happen naturally. And that's what a lot of people don't get. You know what I mean? But which is okay. You know, if you don't like my way of doing things, that's okay. I'm not going to argue with anybody. You know what I mean? That's who I am. I've had over 12 world champions. I've won 2 world championships myself. So, hey, I've been pretty successful, thank God.
One of the guys, the fighters that I wanted to speak to you about as well, before we go on to Callum, and I didn't know this, you train Leila Ali?
Yes. I trained Leila. Leila was, I got to honestly say, she was a hard worker. She sparred Arturo Gatti.
Did she?
Yes, she hurt Arturo with a body shot. But she was a very hard worker, very, like, she kept me on my toes because she liked to work hard. And there was no such thing as an easy day. Like when she came in the gym, she wanted to work and more importantly, she wanted to learn. She was a great student. She wanted to learn as much as she can. I mean, she was a great student.
There's been some conversations, I know her and Clarissa Shields were like, you know, she advocated for Clarissa. It always starts off this way, you know, from fans to enemy. I get it, that's how it works. If you look at the 2 fighters, and I know this is a fantasy fight because it will never happen, if they was both the same age, fighting in the same era, who do you think would have won that fight between those 2 females and why?
If they fought and they're both like in their prime.
John Jackson is Clarissa's, he's a fighter as well.
Yeah.
That's Clarissa's
so
trainer.
John's a hell of a trainer, hell of a guy.
Yeah,
John's my man.
guy.
But as far as skill level wise, I got to go with Leila.
Talk us through it.
Well, you know, Leila box. You know, Leila could punch. You know, not taking nothing from Clarissa now. I'm not taking anything from her. You know what I mean? Clarissa's a hell of a fighter. I got to give it to her. You know what I mean? She's even calling out men right now. You know what I mean? She's a hell of a fighter. I give it to her. But I just think all around, I got to go with Leila.
Because of?
Her boxing IQ. She has a very good boxing IQ. I mean, and she can make adjustments. You know what I mean? And Leila can punch. You know, Clarissa's a hell of a fighter. Clarissa, she's the best right now. You got to give it to her. You know, I got to give credit where credit's due. She's the best right now. But I think if they both fought in their primes, I got to go with Leila.
Something you mentioned there, and we're going to come back to that, is IQ, because there was a lot of that. I've obviously watched you train Callum for the first time, but I'm going to park that, but I need to come back to it. IQ. Now, Arturo Gatti, also another one of your fighters. Now, when I first started taking boxing seriously, my boxing coach said to me, watch Gatti, Ward, watch them. Watch the inside work. Then you will understand a lot more about boxing. Because at that point, I'm green. I'm only looking at the heavyweights, the names that you see everywhere.
Right.
And those are the fights I watched. But then, years later, I'll go into my son's bedroom because he loves boxing. He can box himself. He's 15. And he's watching the same fights that I watched. And then I said, you know who that is in the corner? There you are, like clean shaven in the corner. I said, that's Buddy McGirt, also a 2-weight world champion.
Yes.
2-weight world champion.
Yes.
He's in the corner with him. What was that like? Because this is generational. This is me watching it. This is my son watching it, and you are in that corner. So talk to me about training him and what he was like, because we know he liked to war.
Well, you know, it was a great
Rest in peace as well.
Huh?
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. It was a great experience training him. And that's a fight. Now I'm gonna give you an example about making adjustments. In the third fight, he hit Mickey Ward on the hip and fractured his hand. He went into the fight already. His hand was already broke. You know what I mean? He went into the fight with a broke hand. And then when he hit him on his hip, that was it. He came back to the corner and he says, my hand is done. So I said to him, what you want to do? He goes, I got to keep fighting. I said, okay, let's go to plan B.
Adapting.
Thank you very much. Did I study tape to do that? No. But in the gym, we worked on, because we knew the hand was bad, so there was things that we worked on, you know what I mean? But now here's the catcher now. He said something after the second fight that stuck in my mind in the third fight. In the second fight, he broke his hand. But he said the adrenaline was flowing so much he didn't feel the pain. So in the third fight, after he broke his hand, I never mentioned the hand at all. When he came back in the round 7, 8, 9, I never said, how's your hand? I never mentioned the hand at all. I saw the adrenaline flowing. I said, I'm going to let him go. Because I remember what he said, what happened in the second fight. Once his adrenaline got going, he didn't feel the pain. So I'm not going to ask him in round 9, how's your hand? Because now he's going to be like, oh, shit. No, I didn't mention the hand anymore. That's what teachers do. Not trainer, teachers. You know what I mean? Don't mention the hand at all. Keep his mind off the hand. He's throwing it, let it go.
It's all right. I'm just thinking because we were just speaking out there, obviously private conversation, I'm not going to bring that into here, but we were saying that a lot of it in life, never mind boxing, is all about the mind. And it's funny because obviously speaking to Callum,
right,
he spoke about his mentality. He seems to have this really strong mentality.
Right.
And he says it was kind of like, that's why you and him get on, because you're teaching him. And he feels like he can look up to you because of your experience, the world champions that you've had. So he feels like he's in these safe hands.
Gotcha. Okay. He's a good student, though. He's a very good student. You know, I mean, working with him is great. And, you know, when you're teaching him something and he catches on to it, you can see like his face light up. You know what I mean?
He smiled?
Yeah. You can see his face light up. And then when he sees it works, it's like, wow. But, okay, we got to keep doing it over and over and over. You know what I mean? Like when I do the mitts with the guys, you know what I mean? A lot of people don't fancy with the mitts. That's all well and good. But you got to teach. You got to watch the feet. There's little things people don't look at when they do mitts. You know what I mean? They just, all the hands, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at your feet. I'm looking at your balance. I'm seeing if you pivot and see if you're moving one foot, not the other foot. I watch everything. That's why I got 4 eyes. I watch everything. But to me, that's not only training them, but teaching them. You know what I mean? You got to teach them, correct the bad habits. You know what I mean? You got to correct them. I mean, you can't wait to fight night to say, okay, we got to correct it. You got to be prepared when you get there.
Can I use an example of a fight, please? When, and this is different styles of training, different weights, but still fighters. When we saw Anthony Joshua with Daniel Dubois, I always listen out for the corners. If I'm at home and I'm watching the fight, I'm always screaming, turn the commentators off. I don't care what you got to say. I want to listen to what the trainer's telling this fighter to do. Yeah? Because that's important to me, because you're down on the cards or you've had a bad round. What is your trainer saying to you for you to go back in now to get back on top of it? Right? And I didn't necessarily hear what I thought I was going to potentially hear for Joshua to go back out and, you know, rise up against Daniel Dubois. With your fighter now, and I'm going to use the Buatsi fight as an example, when Callum fought Joshua Buatsi. That was a bit of a two-in and a throw-in in the fight. Sometimes that fight was at 50-50, very good fight. No tape watched, your style. So what was you telling Callum to do? And I know you know some of the tricks because obviously you had Dan Aziz, etc., etc. So you've had Joshua around you for sparring. But what was you telling Callum in that corner? Because I was too busy screaming myself, so I didn't get to hear what you was actually saying to him. Brilliant fight, by the way. But what was you saying to Callum?
The funny thing is this. I saw Buatsi spar Dan when I was training Dan Aziz. And I said, this kid can fight, but he has trouble when guys fight him on the inside. So I said, Callum, I said, listen, make it an inside fight. Because people think that since Callum is tall,
he's going to use the distance, he's going to use the long jab.
Inside is his thing. So when Buatsi was standing inside with him, I was like, yes. You know what I mean? But then, you know, Buatsi was, you know, like you said, it was back and forth.
Yeah, it was.
But I told Callum, stay in his guts. Keep hitting him, stay in his guts. Stay there. And listen, I give Buatsi all the credit in the world. My hat's off to him 2 times because, you know, he took some shots that were, I'm like, he's going. I'll be like, shit, he's coming back. He's not going. He's going. No, he's not. I'm like, damn. But, you know, and when he was standing inside with Calm, I'm like, yo, that's your stick right there, man. You know what I mean? He's doing exactly what we want him to do.
Right. So going back to what you said in the beginning, you train your fighter for every eventuality. You can, like you said, you've had that experience with Buatsi because of the previous sparring. Yes. But you tell your fighter, you teach your fighter how to control the fight. Not to wait and see what the opponent's going to necessarily do with them. It's almost like, if I'm going to be, I don't know, am I going to get shouted at for this? A masculine role when it's a male and a female dancing. You want him to take control, take charge from the beginning, right?
That's what all the great fighters do. You know, you get Floyd Mayweather, Terrence Crawford, Roy Jones. They make the guys dance to their beat. It may take them a couple of rounds.
Right.
But once they get you to dance to their beat, they got you.
So initially when it starts off, Buddy, when, like I said, you're trying to control this, like you said, it could take them a couple of rounds. In those couple of rounds, could it look like maybe they're not doing it, like the other person's in control, or they're sussing them out? What is it in the beginning of the fight? Because you're saying basically stamp authority from the beginning.
But see, beginning you get the authority, but it may take you a round or two to get the guy to dance to your beat. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to lure them in a little bit. Make them feel comfortable.
So setting up shots.
There you go. That's what, you know, that's what Crawford does. That's what Floyd. Listen, Floyd, I give Floyd a lot of credit because Floyd would fight guys, and it would take 3 or 4 rounds. But then after that, I'm saying to myself, you dancing to his beat. And then once Floyd got you dancing to his beat, that was your ass. Same with Roy Jones. I mean, Roy Jones was great at that. He'd get you to dance to his beat, and once he got you, there was no coming back. There was no coming back. You know what I mean? That's why when I had Tarver fight Roy Jones, I said, we got to jump on him. Can't let him sit back and set the pace. Because if he sets the pace, we're in trouble. We got to jump dead in his chest right out the gate. You know what I mean? And I learned that from Georgie Benton and Eddie Futch.
Now you're going back now, school time for me.
They both told me, if your guy fights Roy, he's got to jump in Roy's ass. Can't let Roy breathe. Can't let Roy set the tone.
So is that the pressure? The pressure? Front-footedness?
Control pressure.
Or, I've heard people say educated pressure as well. Is that?
It's controlled pressure. You know what I mean? You're putting pressure, but you're smart. You're just not walking straight in because Roy will kill you. But you're always giving him something to think about at all times. And Tarver could punch. You know what I mean? And Tarver's fast. You know what I mean? And, you know, I said, yo, we got to offset Roy. We cannot let Roy, because if Roy gets control, you're done. So I said, Antonio, he said, okay, buddy, no problem. So we got to stay on him. We can't let him breathe. Back him up with jab. Don't let him if you give Roy room and Roy gets set, you're done. You know, Terrence is good at it. Terrence Crawford's good at it. He gets you a couple of rounds, boom. But once Terrence Crawford, and I tell everybody, once he stays southpaw 2 rounds straight, you're done. He got you. You're done. I mean, when he fought Canelo, once he stayed southpaw, I told my daughter, fight's over. Everybody like, nah, I said, the fight is over. He's got him now. There's nothing anything Canelo does, Terrence got an answer for it. And he had him. I mean, he just took control and that was it. But that's what the great fighters do. They take control, they get you to dance to your beat, and once you dance to their beat, you're done. I mean, I tell everybody, look, there's levels to this game. As a fighter, and more importantly, as a trainer. There's levels. You know what I mean?
Talk to me about the levels of the trainer then. Which is often...
Say you get in a fight and you're dominating everybody. But now you get in a fight now. Shit ain't working out like that. You know what I mean? What happens? You come back to the corner, what are they going to tell you? If they've never been there, what are they going to tell you? You know what I'm saying? Listen. I'm going to say Anthony Joshua, right? Dominated. But one shit didn't go his way in the fight. He had no answers. I mean, like when he fought Dubois, when he had him hurt. When you fight a puncher, the last thing you do with a puncher One thing you got to understand, when a guy can punch, when he's hurt, that's when he's most dangerous, when he's hurt. You know what I mean? Because now he's hurt now, but he knows if he lands one, it's a wrap. And that's what happened. Joshua walked right into the right hand. You know, he got over anxious. Instead of sitting back, you know what I mean, picking. Any fight is dangerous when they're hurt. You know what I mean? Especially if he can punch. So if he's hurt, you don't run in, no, finish him off. You got him now. You got to set the trap now. Feint him. You know what I mean? You got him where you want him, but it's how you get him out of there. Joshua just walked straight in and got caught. You know what I mean? When he fought Usyk, one round he was throwing body shots. He had Usyk. Next round, Usyk walked straight to him, took the plate from him. Instead of him picking up where he left off, he didn't pick up where he left off. He went out and then he tried to stay down. No. Usyk came out and took charge again. And he got Joshua to dance to his beat. That's the only thing with Joshua, you know, he could be champion of the world again. You know what I mean? He's got to make just minor adjustments. Nothing major. You know what I mean? Nothing major, just minor adjustments. He makes those minor adjustments, he'll be champion again.
I overthink things, and there's something that you said to me about taking charge. What type of fighter does it have to be, Buddy? Because potentially this fight can go 12 rounds. How do you encourage, or how does a fighter have that mentality to stay with that mindset every time they're getting up off that stool or walking back in from the corner, to have that take charge mentality sometimes when things aren't necessarily going their way?
It starts in the gym. You got to be on their ass every day. Even when they have it, you still got to remind them. You know what I mean? That's my way of thinking. You got to remind them every day. Because if you get comfortable with it, then you're okay, then you get lazy. No, now that you got it, now's when I tell fighters like this. The easier it seems, the more focused you got to be. The easier the fight is, the more focused you got to be. Because that split second you get lax or complacent, the tides can turn. You gotta stay focused, because if you lose concentration for a split second, the other guy can take that control from you. Now you got two battles you gotta fight. You gotta fight getting control back, mentally as well as physically. And once you got him dancing till you beat, you keep him there until the final bell.
So a fighter then, when it didn't go according to plan, and I think we probably brushed over this last time we spoke, Dillian. Now, I know Footgate came out after that, you know, there was Injurygate, all of that was on the internet, what happened with him, that, I don't know, he hurt his foot, etc. That fight with him going in to fight the young prospect, which is Callum is going to fight a young prospect, etc., etc. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but when you saw Dillian go out in the first round of that fight, because obviously it didn't go any further, what was you thinking? Be as honest as you can.
I really don't know what to think, to be honest with you. I really don't know what to think. You know, it's something that just happened. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. You know what I mean? You know, I saw him the next day, and he's just like, "Yo, man, I'm sorry." I'm like, "You don't got to apologize. What are you apologizing for?" You know what I mean, there's nothing to apologize for. This is the game. It could have been him. Unfortunately, it was you. But you know, I said, don't apologize, man. Just just go home. I said, just go home and think about it. You know what I mean, and we left it at that.
When you see fighters get to a certain age, because obviously, like Derek Chisora's going in against Deontay Wilder. But in all honesty, Derek Chisora seems to be one of these that you think that's it for him.
And he pulls a rabbit out the hat.
Yeah, he just does it all the time. He keeps on doing it. You think, oh my God, he's going to get knocked out.
Right.
He looks absolutely exhausted. And then he stays in there. He doesn't... The thing is with Derek, he's a bit unorthodox. He doesn't necessarily have a set trainer. He kind of like just goes in there and think, I'm just going to do what I want.
He gets in shape and goes for the gusto.
Talk to me about that, because to me, that's somebody that's potentially dangerous, because he don't want to give up. He doesn't.
He's been successful at it so far. You know, he has that, and he has experience on his side. So I just hope that after this fight, because I love Derek. Derek's my man. You know what I mean? And
You was in his corner once, weren't you?
Huh?
Was you in his corner as well?
So I just hope that after this fight, he calls it quits.
Because would you give him the cigar? Would you walk in his changing room?
Yep, and be like, Derek, look, man, enjoy your family now. I mean, enjoy your family. Because before you know it, your babies ain't going to be babies. They're going to be adults. And before you know it, it's just going to be you and the wife sitting home. So, you know, go home and enjoy your family. That's what I would say to him after this fight.
Do you think he'd listen?
Yeah, I think he would, because what else does he have to do? What else is there left for him to do in the fight game? I mean, there's nothing else. He's done it all. He's fought everybody. He's done it all. So there's really nothing else left for him to do. You know what I mean? He's set. His family's set. And at this point, it's about making sure your family's set. And he's been blessed and he's there. So there's nothing else for him to prove.
Callum then is going in against Morrell, David Morrell Jr., a fighter that I've watched from the beginning. I sort of had these light heavyweights in my head, and Morrell Jr. was always one of them, to watch. We saw him suffer defeat to Benavidez, but we saw that there was little holes in his performances before, or things that fighters could potentially capitalise, and he likes to corner his fighters, get them in the corner, and then the barrage of punches come. But he kind of met that in turbo version with Benavidez, because Benavidez really likes to unload the shots. Now, fair enough, there's no footage. You know, there's footage out there, but we're not concentrating on that. How are you preparing Callum to control that dance?
We got to go out and we got to get control quick. We can't let Morrell get comfortable at all. Can't let him get comfortable. And we got to get out and set the tone early. Whether it's with punches or pressure. I mean, we can't go out and go crazy. We got to be smart about it. You know what I mean? But we can't let him take control.
How do you break the psyche down of a fighter? Because a confident fighter, younger fighter, you could say speed might be one of his attributes as well.
That's his attribute. So the key is to make him uncomfortable. Got to make him uncomfortable. In any situation, he's got to be uncomfortable. Got to give him something to think about. You know what I mean? So if you're giving him a different look every other round or every round, giving him different looks, doing different things, you know what I mean? You got him thinking now. And the key is to get him thinking and keep him thinking until the fight is over. By the time he figures it out, the fight's over.
How do you switch someone's mind like that? I know you said that obviously there's the adaptability. How do you break someone's confidence? Because it's almost like you're talking about the mental side of it with that educated
pressure. You got to take
pressure.
the mental with physical. You got to use your mental and your physical abilities to overcome, to make that.
Never switching off.
Right.
And always using your skill.
Yeah. One way or another. You know what I mean? You have to take advantage of the weaknesses and take advantage of the weaknesses and take the strong points from them to make it an even playing field.
So when a fighter has speed, when you look at attribute of a fighter and one of their attributes is speed.
Right.
How do you take away someone's speed? Do you wear them out? What is it? Do you test their conditioning? I'm just trying to think.
There's a couple of things you can do that I can't reveal.
All right.
There's a couple of things you can do. You know what I mean? But the key is to break that rhythm.
Find the rhythm and then break it.
There you go.
Or do you just start on your rhythm and make them dance to your rhythm?
You got to do a little bit of both. You know what I mean? Because he's going to come out and try to dominate. You're going to come out and try to dominate. So there's going to be times that you got to make him feel a little comfortable, but you're making him feel comfortable for a reason. Because we see something. So we want you comfortable here, but not here. We get you comfortable here, then we're not going to worry about that.
It's amazing because I've never spoken to a coach before that explains it. It's almost like you're manipulating you're manipulating your opponent mentally.
Yeah.
And with what you're going to do with them, it's almost like you'll throw something out at them, you'll make them get comfortable, and then all of a sudden it's like you switch and it's like, nah, you ain't getting
It's
comfortable.
called the overlay for the underplay.
Is that one of your words? The overlay? Because I know you love the percolator.
It's called the overlay for the underplay.
We like it. So, how do you see that fight ending? Or
Hey, I just see the win. I don't care how we get it.
you don't care?
If we don't care, I don't care how we get it. I just see the victory.
What do you want for Callum afterwards? Or is that something as a fighter you're like, I ain't even thinking about that?
I'm not thinking about that right now. I just want to get the win and see how we get the win. And then go from there.
And finally, advice to fighters. This is something that comes up now and again. It's come up again. Contracts, fights. We've seen it recently with Jaya Pataya, with the IBF. He thought he could potentially fight for it. Then it potentially went where they couldn't because they took it off him.
I don't know the whole story behind that. What really happened, I really don't know.
From your experience, Buddy, when you're signing a contract or you're now the trainer that has some kind of input with your fighter, what is the advice that you're telling your fighter when it comes to which bit of the contracts are you telling them to look at?
Listen, I tell them get a lawyer. Get a lawyer because, listen, I had 80 pro fights. I signed 2 contracts my whole career.
So what was that? A lot of trust then?
Yeah. Hey, listen. The times have changed, baby. You know, it's not like it used to be. You know, the game has changed, and
is it better now or worse now? What would you say?
I don't want to get into that. That's a whole nother segment.
You would. We'll have to do that another time then.
Okay.
Listen, Buddy, thanks for having me at the gym.
Thanks for having me on your show.
I'll see you fight week. Try not to run off for me on fight weeks, 'cause I know you get a bit iffy on fight weeks.
All right.
But yeah, we'll catch up soon. Ladies and gentlemen, Buddy McGirt.